Good evening and welcome to another Dragon Warrior Randomizer 2024 Winter League match. The playoff picture's getting and will continue to get clearer with another Week 4 Vanilla-ish race here. We have I am Secret Agent Man in the commentary booth, High Spirits Restreaming, RG365, and Schmike Tracking. And joining me tonight in the booth is Adam Raptors. How you doing, Adam?
I am doing great. I am very excited. Week 4 is probably my favorite week settings of the league, so I love the vanilla-ish. I had a lot of fun in my race, and I've been really enjoying my practice races. So I'm really looking to see forward to seeing what these four excellent runners are going to give us tonight.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite weeks, definitely, and I think it's one of the most interesting weeks because we know the map is vanilla. That's standard with Vanilla-ish. But unlike a lot of years, aside from shops, we have a lot of things that are tri-stated. Shuffle items is tri-stated, so it could be vanilla item location. Spell order is tri-stated, it could be vanilla spell order. Repel in caves, monster abilities, monster zones, short Sharlock. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that could bring it closer to vanilla-ish or vanilla, but also could take it completely in a new direction. And you really got to be on your feet, I feel.
Yeah, and despite a lot of things being similar to vanilla, like just a ton of things are different and make each race different. I expect if you've seen previous races this week, I would expect a significantly different seed in terms of how you want to approach it. Like, I think there's a lot of really interesting things that make big difference on how you strategize. Like, I think some of the more important ones are vanilla spells. That definitely kind of gives you on a heal more at level 17, for example, is really important, and you don't get hurt more, essentially. Or like vanilla items, your exploration is a lot different. Or even just where you start. Do you start at the vanilla Cantland spot? Do you start on the second continent? Do you start in one of the populated areas? Like, all that stuff takes a lot of kind of on the fly thinking, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Another one I'll put out there is I think it makes a lot of difference is vanilla zones.
Oh yeah,
Because
oh yeah.
if it's vanilla zones, the toughest thing you'll see in the entire overworld is a green dragon, and you're pretty unlikely to see it. Almost everything can be hurt moored, and a lot of stuff will basically just die in one hurt moor. It's so much easier, which goes counter to one thing in Vanilla-ish, I feel, usually, is that you don't want to die far away from home. It is so dangerous that, like, if you're going to the Cantland check and you die on the way, it is potentially a backbreaker in a race.
Yeah, for sure. So with the vanilla map, the designers of this game decided to put the locations far from each other so that you'd have to go a long way before you could find one. And so even though you know where there are and the time spent exploring is not as high, but just the walking is really, really long. So you generally you don't really have to want to make multiple trips to almost anywhere, especially the second continent or the Cantland spot, or the south. I'll call it the south west of the map. But yeah, so getting no matter what the settings, overworld deaths far away from home are pretty brutal. So one of my things is I would expect these runners to kind of do a lot of early grinding, try and spend a lot of times finding some good experience, and that can make or break the race for sure.
Yeah, and another interesting potential thing there is if vanilla items are on, you know you're going to have to deep dive grave, and you really don't want to do that without outside, or at least without a death. And in the seed, like we just said, it's hard to route in a death. So do you really want to risk that? As for the starting stats, not really much to use here. Everybody's using the same build. We have 20 HP, which is a bit on the lower side, 5 AP, which is also a bit on the low side, and 7 DP, which is, I guess, the one good thing. We also have no spells, so it's potentially vanilla spell learning, but also you're never really going to know that until you get the first spell.
Yeah, other things that might, some of the first things we're going to try and figure out. So a lot of times the runners will want to figure out which of these tri-states are on. So a couple of them you can do right away. Keys can be on or off. So if the back chest in Tangential Castle is gold, that means we do not need keys for the seed. And conversely, if there's a key there, we will need keys. And then the other big one that I expect our runners to check are the initial zones. So the initial zones around Tangential Castle will be filled with low-level enemies. But if you see a wide variety of enemies, it's not vanilla zone. So like a vanilla zone would be just a slime or a red slime in zone 0. Whereas a zone 0 enemy, if the not vanilla zones, could be all the way up to a scorpion. So we'll want to check for that, because you want to get out of the slime and red slime zone pretty quickly, unless you're just trying to get your first level or so. And the other thing is sometimes random experience is on. So random experience in this flag set is consistent. So that means you won't see wild things. You can't get slimes that give hundreds of experience. They'll give like up to 6 experience, I think. I know my seed earlier this week had slimes that had deal 2 breath but gave 6 experience, so they're actually pretty good. At least for the first few levels. So you can have a lot of variety, and looks like we are about ready to start. So here we go, and we'll see which of these early flags are on or off. And good luck to the runners.
And we have started. So let's see what's in this throne room. That'll already start to reveal a bit. You can tell technically vanilla chest, but it is not vanilla chest because there's not a gold chest there. Is a torch though, which is potentially very useful. With 5 AP, you really not be able to kill much. The one thing I will say, this is one of the most interesting starts in vanilla-ish, in my opinion. This spot, do you check the vanilla Caitlyn check, or do you go further and just go up a field? Like, this is really interesting. Only slimes, I think, in this zone, so this looks like it may also be a slime vanilla zone.
So a couple things we've learned. Yes, I agree with your vanilla zone thing, because we've only seen slimes and red slimes, and I guess Drakeys, because there's 2 different zones around this spot. We also don't have vanilla spells, because I believe level 2 gave us 2 spells that aren't heal. I forget what we got, but we have that, and then we also just have regular experience. In terms of what the monsters give, we'll be on very fast experience, but the monsters give out their normal amount. So we see 11 power at level 4 for HoodyTwoShoes. Right, so that's a pretty good jump, but you're still likely just taking these early enemies. The fast text makes encountering lots of small enemies pretty reasonable.
Yeah, one thing we did notice is one thing that you could have noticed there is Slamu briefly was in the diagonal. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, and he saw a gold man. And that gives Slamu a lot of information. That diagonal is potentially worth it later, but now it is death. So I can't imagine he is going to venture out of it. Like, if that diagonal had been something with, say, a scorpion or a skeleton, a metal scorpion, maybe you start to consider it, especially now that the power has jumped up again at level 4.
Yeah, so you're talking about how this is one of the more interesting locations to start at. So there's really not too much close to here. This is one of the more isolated starting spots on the map. But even more than that, you really have a choice on which direction you go. The closest, or maybe the closest, there's one close one north, and that's the Vanilla Mountain Cave. And there's one semi-closest one south, which Slamu seems to be going that direction. Which is Vanilla Caitlyn, but it's a long way to that one location. So it's like how early do you go that direction? And that can definitely make or break a seed, because that location could be anything.
Yeah, Slammo, I think, is actually checking this zone, which is just under the south zone. So he's getting better enemies here, not much better. With this stat set, you might honestly want to risk like a wolf this close to home, but certainly getting the magicians in the pool is much better than any of the starting 3 zones. Likewise, Hoodie has gone north and found one of the scorpion zones.
And
But it is in forest, and they have DL2.
oh no, so Bob, I think Bob Pineapple went to the same Goldman zone that Slamu found a Goldman, but he found a Wolf Lord, and combined with the sleep spell, was actually able to take it out. So Bob Pineapple takes the early experience lead for sure. While on cparsley side, we find Cole and a Wizard Treasure Guard, which is not great.
And that's good information too, though, because that wizard flashed sleep, and while you don't want that to happen, now you know vanilla spell abilities. Like, we haven't really seen too many turns against things with abilities usually, but now we know that's for sure. Oh, I guess we did already because of the DL2 Breath Scorpion just now, but now cparsley knows that too. Unfortunately, though, he had enough money to buy the on-sale copper sword, but decided not to.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really going to cost him.
Yeah. Getting an early weapon here is great, because it makes these like kind of I'll say riskier plays like the Wolf Lord much easier, much more approachable, and you don't mind dying a couple times if you're a favorite to win these fights. Like this Metal Scorpion, although we're doing pretty good damage without the without a weapon on Bob's side. So I think Bob's found a pretty good zone here, while everybody else is kind of walking around trying to find their place. But other runners aren't doing too bad. Everybody within a little bit of experience of each other.
Yeah, I think the big thing that opened up for Bob was that he was already still here in this area, and then he got sleep, and that just immediately opens up the Wolf Lords. The one thing for cparsley is that if he had that copper sword, you could maybe even like risk a Goldman try, just to see if you can, build up some money quicker, because it's in the coal shop, and you can potentially get some better gear if you want to venture out again after that. That could potentially speed things up, but he kind of has the worst of both worlds here. Speaking of the worst of both worlds, Hoodie also finds the wizard and gets taken down by it, but does not see the sleep.
Doesn't see the sleep, but did pick up a copper sword, so that's pretty nice. So one thing about this week's seed that is not tri-state is that we always have the vanilla shop. So when you enter a town, you know what's available. But one thing that could be tri-stated are the weapon prices. So a lot of times you can get pretty nice weapons for low cost, and weaponry is pretty good in this flag set, honestly, because you're spending a lot of time grinding. So you have a lot of opportunity to put your weaponry and your defensive gear to work.
Yeah, especially knowing like vanilla spell learning didn't roll on, so you're gonna have hurt more at some point, and it could, for all you know, be the next level. But even once you get hurt more, when it's vanilla zones, I feel like it's just so nice to have a weapon, because there's so much in the overworld that you don't even need the hurt more for. You get a broadsword and run into a wyvern. Why bother wasting MP? Save it just in case you need it. Swing at the wyvern.
Alright, so it looks like Slamu has found a pretty good zone. I believe he has the experience lead by a little bit over Bob and a lot of bit over the other two runners. So Slamu and Bob are two pretty healthy experience leads, finding each of them finding good zones, but different ones. So Slamu is at the very southwest corner of the map, someplace I don't think I've ever gone in my Dragon Warrior travels, honestly.
It's one of those checks that I sometimes do, but really only with these two starts. Now, this is a very good zone. I think Bob's is probably a little bit better, but the thing is that Slamu got to this zone a bit quicker, and then basically just stayed here because it's much safer. He hasn't had to take a single death with that hurt being able to bring him back up. So he's really managed to carve himself out a decent EXP lead here. Bob, meanwhile, will also get the copper sword, though. Although, no, he won't. Oh, unfortunate. He wasn't able to kill any of the goldmen and got and just doesn't have enough money even for the copper sword. But Upside is the wizard's going to kill you either way, so at least he discovered the sleep too. That is potentially huge.
Yeah, the reason that that's huge is like you'll probably want to kill that wizard as soon as you can. And if these runners learn stop spell, that's potentially they can take it out right now, depending on how often the sleep shows up and how much damage they can do and whatnot. But like you want to do that because that's one of your search threats. That could be the sword, that could be the armor, and it's very likely to be one of your key items.
Yeah, it has to be either a key item or a piece of gear because the flute and the death necklace will not have a guard. They do have stop spell, which I'm curious which one that knows sleep will go after that first. The other reason I'd say it's huge is because there could be more treasure guards. And the worst thing for Hoodie actually wouldn't be dying on your first attempt or taking too long to get that piece of gear. The worst thing for Hoodie would be getting lucky, killing that wizard somehow with a big, HP boost, a big AP boost, and not seeing the sleep. Because if you don't see the sleep here and you do see it in, say, Deep Grave, that's like on the other side of the continent or on second continent, not having that piece of information can just absolutely break the back of your run, I feel.
Alright, so Slammer finally the last of our runners. This makes sense. Slammer spent a good amount of time grinding for experience and is the last to call and get his copper sword. Looks like he's going to check this tile first. Uh-oh.
That's a bit unfortunate, especially because with the copper sword, I think he might have been able to beat that if he hadn't gotten 2 turns slept.
He does learn the sleep and does know the stop spell. And does know and does have like the most stats of all of our runners.
Yeah, the other problem with that is I think hand axe was vanilla cost, and it's the best weapon you get in coal, and he was like 39 short of it. So if he just gotten another kill or two, he could have gotten that hand axe, and that would have really helped him.
Yeah, so one thing I like about what Bob Pineapple is doing is he's taking a lot of deaths, but has the experience lead because the enemies he's taking are so good. So there's like wraiths with DL2 breath. The wolf lords are not particularly fun, but like he's just going at it, getting huge chunks of experience, and actually has the experience lead at this point.
Yeah, I maybe take the goldmen if they don't have anything, just to try to get up some gold, knowing that the hand axe is there. Not having a weapon hurts him a little bit, but like you said, it's one of those things. Brief aside, we have Slamu stop spelling. The wizard gets the stop spell off, but now it doesn't want to cast, and he's just locked in a battle of life and death. Gets one sleep off there, heals the full, but then gets... This is going to be real close. It's going to really depend on luck, but I think he's got it now. Oh, the dodge!
Yeah, this is all back and forth and going at the speed of light, so all these heals, sleeps, there we go. Gets it for 120 and gets the Erdrick sword. Huge pickup for Slammer. We were talking about, copper sword and hand axes being really, really nice for our runners. Those are nothing compared to Erdrick's sword. So big early wizard kill for Slammer.
Yeah, it's going to make any grind he wants to do much easier, and it's also going to really facilitate him just exploring the overworld. Like, now he can just take a swing, even though he's not close to home, he can just take a swing at that gold man. Unless it dodges multiple times, sword is going to cleave through it easy, especially with the early strength, I should say. So knowing that it's vanilla zones, I expect Slamu to conversely, it's one of those decision points where knowing it's vanilla zones, you could stay in grind, but also knowing it's vanilla zones, you basically know that you can buzzsaw, once you get that sword, you can buzzsaw through almost every overworld enemy, period.
Alright, so Slammer's just going exploring. He's like, sword's good enough for me. I'm gonna go back to kind of the home continent, finds the grave. Here we don't have keys yet, so it's only top grave. But Slammer's got enough. He's got outside. He's got a bunch of gold. So he's exploring places, finding places. Find this is the Erdrick's cave, but instead it's the Stones of Sunlight cave, and we get 1 check and get a cursed belt. So yeah, Slammer with good exploration, good experience. Safe to say that Slammer has a pretty significant early lead, but HoodyTwoShoes gonna try and maybe take out the wizard. We'll see.
Yeah, the one problem is that he's gotta to take it out. He's probably either gotta get lucky and not see the sleep, or he's gotta preemptively get it, or get a lucky wake up.
Oh, he knew.
Oh,
he knew.
Had, oh, good bet on him. It could. It could. Oh, I wonder, because in vanilla abilities, it also has the hurt more, and I don't know. It's entirely possible that Hoodie just didn't know for sure or not if vanilla abilities were off. I'm not sure if he's had that information.
All right, so yeah, Hoodie gets through the fight and is the second to get their Erdrick sword. Big pickup again. While on Slammer's screen, we find Garanham. Let's see what we can buy with 1,700 gold. You get a large shield and a half plate, looks like. So pretty good at defensive gear.
You were really hoping if you were Slamu there that that had been. Oh no, it was a bit. I thought one of them wasn't on sale, but they were both on sale, or you just had a bit more than I thought.
No,
from the sale.
Yeah, so had just under 1,800 gold, but was able to sell the small shield for 45 gold to get enough for both. So he did do it in the correct order. So good job, Slamu.
Yeah, I didn't even see the shield. That's heads up right there. This other town, I didn't see what it was, but it is Hawksness. You know it's the Axe Knight here. You don't know what it could have. A bit dangerous of a check sometimes, but at the same time, you're here. It's not that far away from home, and if this is like Harp, then this could be huge. If this is armor, this could be huge, but the back attack is also huge.
Knowing heal more helps a lot here.
Yeah.
So
but you're having to manip out the low swings a bit.
Yeah, so it looks like 1 swing will take it down. Yeah, there you go. There's 130 points, and the Stones of Sunlight for Slamu. Well, on HoodyTwoShoes side, DL2 Breath from the Wraith sends him home.
Ooh.
Wow, Slamu wants to grind. That somewhat surprises me, because we don't have heal more is inconsistent. Sometimes we get 2-shot. I would like a bit more stats before grinding the Axe Knight in perpetuity here, but I guess we are really close to Garanham, and we can kill a decent amount of them, so it's not that painful to just walk over to Garanham for sure.
It's entirely possible he was just like using all his resources before going back to heal, knowing he'd want to heal either way. I don't know that I would like a full grind here either, especially not since again you're having to manip out those low swings. But it could pay dividends, especially knowing Slamu doesn't know it, but especially knowing that DL2 is on the table for multiple overworld enemies. Getting up above that DL2 point where it can kill you without armor could be potentially very huge too.
Yeah, but Slammer's proven us wrong. He's just like, yeah, I want to take this Star Wyvern. Give me a level. So not only is he willing to fight the Axe Knight, but he's willing to fight a much weaker enemy. I guess this kind of thing is why Slamu is our summer tournament champion. Really skilled runner. More skilled than all of us, in fact, based on the summer tournament results.
Yeah, it looks like meanwhile we have BobPineapple making it to Garanham, picking up some gear. Can't afford the half plate, but we'll manage to get chainmail and a large shield and stock up a bit on resources again, and curious to see what his decision point will be.
Now, I didn't see, did Bob or cparsley get their Erdrick sword yet?
I have not seen that myself. I have to imagine Bob would have, because it would have been on the way and he did know about the sleep, but I guess not, apparently. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, extremely unlikely to be able to take out this Axe Knight with just a copper sword, but he's going to go for it.
Yeah, it's going to be real rough. Like, again, like, either way, even with the sword, you have to manip out the low swings. He's thinking about trying to see if it has some sort of spell and hoping it does, but as far as we could tell, it was just swing more.
This might be doable with all of Bob's resources, but you know, it's 6 is probably 6 is almost assuredly nowhere close to enough. I thought if you're doing 10 to 12,
Yeah.
oh, an excellent move, however, has
Ooh.
a differing opinion.
So he'll get the stones too. Hoodie, meanwhile, is doing the one check that I like doing first, but I know is like it's so hard of a choice. He's going for the vanilla Cantlin spot, although has taken the wrong bridge, I think.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
That because so there's 2 bridges. This one seems and they look almost exactly alike. And there you go. You realize it's like finds the walls around Cantlin. Is like, oops.
Like, hey, wait a second. This wasn't the right bridge. Yeah, it's the only thing that finally started helping me was just that swamp right on the side of one of the bridges. If I'm not taking damage, I know I'm going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and this is actually the direction you go if you want to get to the vanilla search spot. There's a huge swamp down here, and somewhere in there in the vanilla game is the Wyvern has the DL2 breath. So
Wow.
but he's not a fan of that. Gets sent back home.
Yeah, and again, it's dangerous for Slamu because Slamu with the sword has already reached over 100 AP. But that is the upside. We now have seen 3 different enemies with DL2 breath. If Slamu keeps at this grind, as long as the HP goes up a little bit more, he won't be able to kill while topped up from that DL2 breath. So that's potentially very huge. Meanwhile, Bob has managed to venture past this double check to Vanilla Swamp, which is not Swamp. It is Mountain.
Yeah,
pretty
so
easy enemy set in here.
I like where we have 4 distinct strategies here, or 4 distinct like 4 distinct like game states here. So Bob's been exploring a lot. I think he's really looking for the keys. That's a big one that opens up a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas Slamu has a sword and is a lot of experience, like open up a huge experience lead. 1400 over the closest competitor. So just sitting here grinding on these Axe Knights and other Hawk's Nest enemies, has a sword. Hoodie's doing a little bit of both. He's just a little bit behind noping out of Hawk's Nest, even though he has a sword. So he's got the sword, and cparsley's doing a lot of kind of look at the zones. He's gonna try and get his sword right here, which really good for cparsley, honestly.
Yeah, that'll really help him out because he needs to get some experience fast, and also to be able to explore a bit better and more efficiently. When that sword will help out with both those things. Bob finished diving Mountain Cave. I didn't see what was in the last chest. Didn't see any keys so far, but we do have Rimmildar here, so that's going to be big for Bob potentially.
Yeah, that's the payoff for Bob's strategy. Just like looking for the places. Now he has keys. Now he can go back to everywhere. And get stuff. He actually has a really big chunk of gold. He probably found some in the mountain, so he'll be able to buy some additional weaponry here. So he'll actually be really happy to see a broadsword pick up in Rimmildar.
Yeah, Schmeik, our tracker, pointing out that money was in the last mountain chest, and I remember there was money in at least one other one, so he got a tidy sum at a mountain. We'll be able to grab some things here. Wings not inconsequential in this sort of flag set. I don't know if they have return or not, but at the very least, you don't have to use the MP to do it. The other thing to note, Schmeik, our tracker, pointing out, repel in dungeons very likely is on. So that is huge information that may change how you dive. Knowing it's on, you can potentially do a lot more aggressive a dive, even if it doesn't turn out that Short Charlock is on. Just knowing if you can get that silver shield, that you can repel a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and so in the meantime, HoodyTwoShoes has started to grind on this Axe Knight and has picked up the Stones of Sunlight. So that is definitely good. And it's kind of doing the after a little bit additional exploration, has kind of settled into this grind, the same that Slamu has done. So
yeah, the one thing I'm curious about, Slamu now does have that threshold where he can, as long as he's from full, he can survive a DL2 breath. He already has Heal More. 120 AP and 61 DP with like large shield and half plate. This is feeling very sneaky close to go, and it could potentially hurt Slamu to stay here, although that I imagine will finally get Slamu moving.
Yeah,
Or
speaking of hurt, Slamu picked up hurt more and immediately used it on himself. It had no effect. But now he has correctly aimed the hurt more at these Axonites, so just gonna pick up a bunch of enemy. I imagine he's just gonna run down his MP. At minimum, you know, you're here with a pile of thing and it's worthwhile, so.
Yeah, but it's really going to depend on how much exploration has to be done after you get to the keys. Speaking of, we have our first treasury check. Flute, scale, cursed belt. Information again, because I think we've now seen 2 cursed belts.
And a treasure guard.
Ooh.
And the armor. So Bob's decision to go explore, try and find keys has really paid off for Bob, because now he has translated those keys into Erdrick's armor, which is a huge advantage for him. So it's got some experience to make up, but like Erdrick's armor is an amazing thing to walk around this huge, massive overworld with.
Even beyond that, I think it's even huger because nobody has Deep Dove Grave. And if you think about it, we're missing 2 trading items. We've seen 2 search spots. You now know, I think, that Deep Grave or one of like the dumb squirrely like tablet freebie cave, I think maybe we're missing. One of those checks is going to be in play because only 1 item can be on the overworld spot, and that might be the death necklace, in which case 2 of those spots are in play. So I would not be surprised to see Bob deep dive grave here, and if Harp is in play, if Harp is down there, that could actually be a huge turning point too.
Also feels like he's now strong enough to fight this wizard, so he'll be the last to the sword, but the first to armor, and definitely first to both. He doesn't know sleep, and he might never find out.
I think he did see it, but there's so much back in this. But
you don't have to cast stop spell if they never cast sleep. So really nice for Bob. And now he's going back exploring again. He's gonna probably go to the Cantlin spot. Pretty nice for him. We have not seen that yet. Only Hoodie has tried to go that way.
I think. Unless we saw Garenham, we did see Garenham, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So Swamp Cave has got to be in Garenham, and it looks like he's realized that now and is turning back around and check Garenham first, which is, I think, the smart play. It's going to be a lot quicker to reach, and if Swamp Cave is in Garenham instead of Tanagel, instead of Cantlin, then you really want to know immediately.
Yeah, you definitely want to pick up your silver harp, I think, before going to second continent, because we haven't seen the Staff of Rain trade in. You want to pick up your silver harp, because I believe we are guaranteed for the it could be in the back of Garenham actually, but you definitely want to try and pick up your harp before the trade-in cave, the first trade-in cave.
Meanwhile, Slamu, still with a big experience lead, has managed to clear mountain, get into Rimeldar, get his keys. So he was a bit behind on the exploration, but having that sword, being able to buzz through things, potentially being able to repel, knowing that like once you get done with the exploration, you can just find an easy zone and buzz all through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, certainly having repel is going to help speed up Slamu's walk around Elfgard.
And Hoodie, our third racer to get keys, I believe. Meanwhile, cparsley has found tablet. Is that new? Did we already see tablet?
I believe it was in the Staff of Rain turn-in cave in Vanilla. So it's in the north center of the map, kind of where Slamu is about to go.
Didn't see what the first chest was, but Token and Fighter's Ring. Both of those are very big. Well, one of them is very big. One of them can be very big, I should say. with the AP as it is currently trending, it might not matter in the end. And Bob has found Swamp, which means Cantlin is some other location. I don't think we've seen Breckenary. Bob is gonna maybe try to pick up some experience on this green dragon when one swings it. Or it could just be he hasn't put together that Vanilla Zones means it's the green dragon and was checking in on it, just in case. That might have also been it.
Yeah, and so the Swamp Cave pops us out on the second continent. There are, I'll say, 3.5 locations. There are 3 randomized locations in Sharlock. So we'll be back here to do our final dive, but we definitely want to find some stuff here.
Yeah, Bob also finding some good zones. The werewolves do have heal though, which makes them a bit icky.
So Slammer picked up keys and decided to walk back to... Okay, he's decided to walk back to Hawksness. I would have guessed to walk back to Garanham to check those spots, but he's like, I want more grind, more levels. Not enough. Doesn't have enough levels.
Yeah, this
we're back on this Axonite grind.
Could really end up costing Slamu. You're basically just a hair away from being go already, honestly, at level 15 with both sword and armor. So it really feels like this could end up wasting a bit of time for him, but it's really going to depend on how much experience Bob can get.
So I think the logic for Slammer here is once you're with Vanilla Zones, you don't really have a lot of great opportunities to pick up a ton of experience on the overworld. You don't have the big ticket enemies, so he could just get to the level that he wants to beat the game and slap on repel to just walk the overworld without getting any encounters. So I think that's a very viable strategy. It looks like that's what Slammer is doing.
Yeah, the one issue with that I think maybe could be that the Axe Knight is better than the Green Dragon, but it's potentially like if there was a healing town on Second Continent, which now we know I think there maybe is, because I think Breckenary had to be over there, then that could potentially get oh, no coordinates.
Alright, so that means we're deep diving Grave for the harp.
I think that's the only check left.
Where is Cantlin? Is Cantlin on the Second Continent?
Cantlin was, I think, Vanilla Cantlin.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Which is, it's really gonna hurt Hoodie.
Yeah.
Hoodie was here before. I think
Yeah.
maybe Hoodie didn't have keys, and then I think maybe also Hoodie died one time over there. So that feels really bad if your Hoodie is just like, oh, I've been here 2, maybe 3 times. I got absolutely nothing for it.
Right, yeah, and so if... Alright, so Slamu picks up his armor. The last of the runners to pick up armor, but all of our runners have have all the same gear, actually. So they have Erdrick's sword, Erdrick's armor, and a large shield, a dragon scale. You know, they've got it all, basically.
So yeah, we know Jerk is under here, and Staff is just so far away. So under Tangent, I should say. So this could really help Bob get back into the race. Some things early on didn't go too well, though he was in a good position for a while. But last that sword, last the ability to swing through things like butter. But knowing this, like, he's basically about to be able to do all his homework and then just grind wherever he wants.
Yeah, and Bob has really taken advantage of the advantages that he has, in that he's been walking around the fastest. Like, he's been, exploring the most, doing the least grinding, but does, for his troubles, does have all of the items now. So he just has to do a lot of walking, and he's going to do that first. All of the other runners are going to do that walking eventually. So yeah, it might be a bit before Bob ends up with all of his homework done, but I believe Bob will be the first to have the rainbow drop, but
Yeah,
maybe the last to have this
absolutely.
sufficient experience.
It's a lot is gonna come down. We know Slamu hasn't dove Deep Grave. We know he's dove Mountain. I don't know if he's gone to like every single cave, but if he dives Deep Grave right now, that's gonna be the real ticket for keeping him in the lead. Meanwhile, for Bob, you're just hoping it takes Slamu as long as possible. Give him all the encounters in between here and Grave and inside Grave, and just keep trying to get back up in experience, because it feels like those are our two leaders right now, and a lot of it's going to come down to if Bob can equal Slamu in experience before Slamu goes and gets that harp. Is Bob going for the golem grind? No, he's going
No,
for his rainbow.
I think the Staff of Rain traded cave is
Oh,
here.
okay. Oh, yeah, it is over here. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, this is just such a. This is about as troll a placement as you can possibly have in a seed.
There are a lot of long walks over here for sure.
So Slamu is now into his way in Grave. If I'm Bob, I don't know if I'm repelling. If I'm Bob, you just need so much experience right now. Like, InSpeed has fast text right now, knowing you're still so far away from go level relatively, and knowing that's what you punted for exploration, it feels like you should just be grabbing whatever quick swing you can get.
Did Slimer just... Yeah, Slimer did get his harp on his dive of grave? Because I think he just exited the grave. Okay. I was watching Bob get all his homework done. So yeah, under Tangential. So Bob will be the first to this. So he's in grind and go mode.
Yeah, meanwhile, Slamu is not electing to go... Oh, no, wait, he is. Okay, good. Yeah, for a moment there, I wondered if Slamu was going back to the grind, and I was like, no, Slamu! But he's going to go get that traded into. Bob really needs to just get experience fast.
So yeah, meanwhile, our top two runners have some of the pieces. Where was the token?
I, for the life of me, can't remember. It might be
Was
back
it here?
It might be back here, I think.
Yeah, if it's okay, it is here. So yeah, Hoodie's not doing too bad and does have all three pieces. Still has a bit of homework to do. Still has some, kind of in between Slamu's big experience lead and Bob's exploration lead. Kind of has all the stuff, has a little bit of experience, but I think Slamu's going to be the first to get kind of all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to take a bit for Bob to catch up on the experience. Whereas I think Slamu is, he's coming up on the staff cave, has to return to Tangential to get his rainbow drop, but then he's good to go.
Yeah, I think Slamu is now, that didn't take too long, so now he's in a commanding position. The one thing I will say is, like you said, Hoodie, the one great thing about Hoodie's routing is Hoodie is in a position to just do this one time. A lot of other racers had to repeatedly go through that Garanham, maybe didn't get all the way to Jerk, not to Jerk, to a staff cave. Hoodie will be able to do this in one trip, and that will potentially speed Hoodie up. So now it's really gonna, I think, Slamu is now secured first place, pending, Sharlock, dive decisions, when to dive decisions. Slamu is in a healthy lead, but now it's gonna be down between Hoodie and Bob really fighting for the second spot, it feels like, because Bob could very easily surpass Hoodie by the time Hoodie gets all the homework done.
Yeah, and so Bob on the grind has a really really smooth fight here. About let's call it 1600 experience down, which sounds actually like about the time that it'll take Hoodie to kind of finish up this thing, because Hoody's about to get his rainbow drop as well. So yeah, this is actually pretty close.
Yeah, Slimu a little bit ahead of Hoodie with that rainbow drop. Now going out to finish getting ready and then go and dive and try going for the win. But Hoodie and Bob is going to be real tight, because Hoodie still has to get out, go all the way back there, and then start on this level 2. And that's, by the time that happens, Bob will have, I think, caught up.
Yeah, it looks like, Slammer's like, okay, I'm pretty close to go level. Apparently, not all the way there, but he's like, okay, I'm going to do all my homework first, make sure I don't overgrind. And then come back to this, finish up some levels, and I don't know how, so like, let's look at our stats. It's pretty close. Might even be good enough. But the other thing is, this grind's so free, so close to Garanham, which you need to go to get to the swamp cave. So it's kind of just right here, and it's like, oh, I can spend like less than a minute and get level 17, maybe.
Yeah, I think the fact that Slamu was already so close to 17 is what convinced them, but 16 is absolutely go with a bullet, especially if it's short Sharlock. If it's short Sharlock, you should have, even with red dragons and armored knights stuffed with gills on the bottom floor, you should have no problem getting through that with these resources. But that could actually come into play, though, because if Slamu goes for the 17, maybe 17 isn't working, or something goes wrong in Sharlock, going for this extra level could open it up, but he is done with leveling now. Didn't see what the level was, I thought 7 HP.
Yeah, and then looking at the Hoodie and Bob, they're in the same place, they're doing the same things, and looks like Hoodie has a very slight, let's call it 600, 700 experience lead, so really close between them. I think very, very much within the range of variance on a dive, even like, a couple extra enemy encounters, a little bit tougher getting through DL1, or just some, really small decisions, like Hoodie's lead is less than a minute, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really tight. I think Hoodie maybe spent less time looking at stats, got a bit more encounter luck. It felt like Bob would probably come close to Hoodie, a bit closer than he did, but he didn't quite manage it, and it's giving Hoodie the lead so far. But it's really just going to come down to that when people decide to go. Like again, Slamu just went to 17. If Hoodie goes to 17, the lead is gone.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I don't. If I were in either Hoodie or Bob's positions, it's like, okay, I've been kind of sitting here for a while. I'm gonna try and sit here for as little as I can. Whereas like Slamu is kind of in a little bit of a different situation. Ooh, short Sharlock should be easy.
Yeah, this is obviously it's going to depend on the luck, what the red dragons and AK-47s have, since we have not seen them and it is not vanilla abilities.
Yeah, you cursed it. The armored knights have both sleep and hurt more, and this is a place where, yeah, this is a place where the race can absolutely swing.
Honestly, if I'm Slamu there, I'm stop spelling. Like it was so free going in here. You only need at 139, you only need 11 swings basically. You might, if you're lucky, get a double. Like you have so much MP to spare, and he's just not sparing it, and it's costing him in the end.
It does get gets away with it. Next step, ambush on sleep. Oh dear.
This is absolutely a game changer. Deaths in it's not as far as it could be, but it's still far enough away where deaths in this Sharlock are potentially dangerous, and he's like, again, you need 11 swings. If you don't get doubles, you're hoping for like 9 heal mores, and he's running on that line.
Well, if you look at where Hoodie is, a death in Sharlock could absolutely cast Slam of the race. His lead wasn't so insurmountable.
And now bad luck with the golem, it just doesn't want to stay asleep. Come on.
Alright, there we go. We get through it. Not too bad. We still have... Well, okay. There we go. Now we talk to Dragon. No more armor knights.
Okay, so he's in good position. He still has a heal more to spare, but it is now graduated from a point where it's, oh, this is absolutely free to, well, I don't want my swings to go bad, and it's hard to watch your swings in this flag set. So it should be fine, but you know Slamu is like looking at that number going like, is there a 1 in front of it? Please let there be a 1 in front of it every time he swings. And those are some good swings to open this up. I think he should be fine now immediately.
So, you know, unbeknownst to Slamu, there are red dragons in Sharlock as well. So HoodyTwoShoes had a little chat with a red dragon. Red dragon's like, hey, can I take half of your HP? It's like, okay. But it gets away from the second one after only 1 attack. So pretty good Sharlock for Hoodie thus far. And looks to have a decent amount of stats going in. Assuming makes it through this golem, fine.
I mean, that's a steal. Half your HP to get away from the red dragon. Sure, take it. Huh.
Yeah, of course. That's a deal. Usually it takes way more than that.
Roll. 19, I feel like Slamu is... Oh, yep, there he goes. Another 19, and that's it.
All right, so get your GGs out for a larger than average Slamu. Will win this race in first place. Gotta take a little detour, go to where the princess is not. But yeah, Slamu wins this race with a very, very clean run. Well done for Slamu.
Yeah, and it looks like Crosby will defeat Ovechkin for the cup. But in other news, Hoodie now starting the DL2 fight, DL1 fight. Did end up having to use as much resources as Slamu in the end. Looked a bit better going forward early on, but then in the end just couldn't keep him toward the back stretch while Bob is starting his run.
All right, and with that, we have our winner, Big Slamu. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm the last person to ever take an extra level when you don't need one. And I'm like, it's 1,000 XP. It'll take me 45 seconds. I don't think I win that if I don't go to 17.
Yeah. Oh, the fight. Yeah, you took a. So yeah, we see HoodyTwoShoes on the DL2 at level 16. BobPineapple in Sharlock at level 16. But yeah, you had some pretty bad Sharlock with the Armor Knights with sleep. So yeah.
It was a funny thing to watch because as it was happening, it was like, oh, this could, if something goes bad to Slamu in Sharlock, or it's a long Sharlock or something like that, and something crazy happens, like that level could cost Slamu the game because you were in the lead for so long. It felt like, but so then with that, you got into Sharlock. Oh, sorry.
With that, HoodyTwoShoes wins the Dragon Lord 2 fight on the last swing. 20 HP, just barely, but does come in second place, is our second place finisher. So congrats to HoodyTwoShoes.
Yeah, I figured that. Geez, Sam, I figured this would be a jam-packed run, right? I mean, I cleared everything that could be cleared short of Breckenary. And yeah, I mean, I could have probably ordered a little better, but I'm like, I grinded great, and I figured it would be close, so I'm glad I came up on top.
Yeah, and with that, we have our second place finisher, HoodyTwoShoes. Congratulations. And good run.
Hey, thanks. GG Slamu.
GG's to you as well.
Meanwhile, we have Bob starting the DL2 fight and not off to a good start. Lost, I think, a heal more compared to the other two racers and did not start at full HP. He's gonna need some good RNG going into this fight.
I made a couple stupid mistakes here. I got toasted. I'm sure everyone got toasted, but getting toasted a couple times and setting me back kind of made me make some bad choices. Then I tried, well, I'll go see what's in the Vanilla Cantlin spot, and then I died on my way over there too, and it was just a disaster. So I had a bunch of stupid stuff, but other than that, I think I did pretty well.
I think you had a clean run, and I think the difference, I think you pointed out I'll say the major difference between you and Slamu is Slamu kind of sat on the Axonite grind, got strong enough before kind of going places, and where you took a little bit of a detour. So you were second in experience for most of the run. Slamu was first to sword, Hoodie, you were second to sword. So there's just a kind of a little gap in that, just that detour for nothing to Cantlin was definitely the difference in the race between you two.
Meanwhile,
yeah, I figured it's too bad.
Meanwhile, Bob could not make up the difference. Did 155, and the Dragon Lord had 156 HP.
Oh no.
1 HP shy. Oh,
Holy.
jeez.
Oh man, that's brutal. Yeah, I thought the zones worked out really well. I immediately knew it was vanilla zones because it was like slime, red slime. So I'm like, okay, we're vanilla zones. Time to grind out and find these spots. And I immediately found like the 3rd tier zone, and I sat there for what I felt like was forever. And I'm like, okay, let me go Death Warp. I walk into what should be just a random zone, and it was the first zone with magicians in it. So it was like zone 5, and then I finally tried to Death Warp off to the left of that zone, and that was the first wolf zone. So I basically walked myself randomly into the best 4 starting zones.
Yeah. It was crazy to watch because you and Bob both had really good zones. I think you had the best 2 starting zones. But yours was so much less variance, while Bob's was really just like the highs and lows that you just managed to slowly eke out that experience lead, especially since you just never died in that zone.
Yeah, having heal was great. It was Magidrakey, Scorpion, Skeleton, Wolf, Warlock. The only thing I would have preferred would have been the Grave 2, right? Skeleton, Warlock, Metal, Wolf. But I mean, I wasn't going to complain. I'm not going to go find one that's 8 XP per enemy better. So.
Right, and I think that's Hoody's initial grind was kind of that kind of take a bunch of like pretty weak enemies, kind of do a little bit of walking around. But yeah, certainly there were a lot of different like what is the opening zone play for each of them. Like you went to this place I've never ever been to in my entire time playing Dragon Warrior, including vanilla. This like southwest corner of the map is like there's nothing there, but you found a really good zone there. It was like Bob found he was trying to sleep the wolf lords, which was effective, got him big chunks. Things were in it, like Hoodie was just kind of plinking out like random Magidrakes or whatever and was doing pretty well with that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean with sleep you can do a lot of fun things. I don't know, that Wolf Lord Goldman zone just is not my favorite.
Did you ever get Dragon Breath by either of the Scorpions, the regular or metal? I got by both.
I did not. By the time I saw Scorpions, I was one-shotting him, and I never got back attacked. So I consider myself lucky in that regard, I guess.
I think
I got Metal Scorpion back attacked, and I did the the obligatory agility check. It was 44. So.
I think we saw 4 different things at least with the O2 breath, and I think you ran into 3 of them. Meanwhile, cparsley trying on level 15 and finds out, probably to his help, because I don't think level 15 is going to do it unless you're packing a whole bunch of fairy water, that the Armor Knights came to play today.
I think I died to all 4. There was a Wraith, there was the Wyvern, there were the 2 Scorpions. So I think I died to all 4 of the DL2 things.
And you were the only one to... The Wyvern was particularly brutal because that was the one by Cantlin.
Oh jeez, yeah. My only non-intentional death was the wizard guarding the sword, and I think I ground up. I don't even know if I ground another level or not, but I went back, bought the copper sword, and just stop spelled him to death.
But Bob gets a red dragon. Oh man, this is gonna be a tough finish.
Yeah, so Slammer, you might not be aware, but there are also red dragons in Charlock. So,
I'm aware of the red dragons. I saw a couple.
Oh,
I saw more.
Maybe you ran away from them immediately, but I mean, you were having fun with the armored knights for sure.
Yeah, I think I lost 2 Healmores on one floor, almost a third. 2 Healmores and 4 herbs, all to those armored knights. I'm like, this is I thought I was overkill, right? I thought I'm +2 on Healmores. This is gold, and I almost lost it.
Yeah, it was.
I felt the same way. I had the same experience.
It was funny because, as I was saying earlier, like it felt like maybe you were potentially going to put yourself in a situation where if something bad happens in Charlock, that extra level could have cost you. But then, even though that level was relatively inconsequential, it was still the only thing that kept all the bad things that happened in Charlock from hurting you. So
yeah, I figured the 7 extra HP would put me into barely into that doubles range. I never saw even close to a double. But, I mean, I even swung on a 49, which was technically risky, but I think. I didn't do the math, but I thought I was sub 84.
Yeah, looks like you're 83. So, just barely.
The one thing I was
Yeah, I
very
used
cognizant
two
of
heal
was
mores down there also in all my herbs, so I was feeling a little sketchy about that at the end there. But
Your fight was very, very close, Hoodie. Like 16, we were like, oh, I don't know, it wasn't clear that you had enough. Like, we definitely thought Slamu had enough with the extra level. Turned out barely enough. But yeah, your fight was even closer.
I mean, I felt great about it until Sharlock, made me.
Oh
use
yeah,
some of the
for
heal
sure,
mores,
for sure.
and then I felt a little bit less good about it.
Right, and I think when Slamu kind of had a bunch of extra experience, and was had done all the grind, did all the homework, was gonna walk to Garen, and he was like, whatever, I'll take a minute to get the extra level, which actually turned out really well.
yeah, I think it was at like 7100 XP, and I'm like, that's 7 Axe Knights times like 6 seconds per fight with all these speed hacks on, so I'm so glad I did it. I would have probably been sent home. I think I hit 7 HP on the first Axe Knights, or Armored Knights, so.
This is potentially an interesting point here. cparsley doesn't have 16 still, but is getting some experience from these Armor Knights. Once you stop spell them, which isn't too easy, you can actually get through them pretty easily because all they do is cast, apparently.
Yeah, and actually what is somewhat close to 16, if you take out this golem, only 150 away. But where do you get that 150 experience?
I mean, from the golem again is the only real way.
Yeah, but I think the way cparsley is played, I believe that we're going for a 15 win.
Yeah, for me, I would have taken this golem. In fact, that's actually what I did in my race earlier today. But that sleep luck was absolutely brutal. That said, 15. Unless I don't know that cparsley picked up fairy water.
Yeah, I don't think 15 is close. I mean, certainly based on seeing the fights from Slammer and HoodyTwoShoes, I don't think entering the fight at 46 just feels really, really tough.
I think it was already impossible. 125, I believe, is the 15
Yeah,
level.
just throws a hurt more out and just like, okay, 17, I'm dead. But in the meantime, we do have BobPineapple actually on level 16. And the DL2 fight looks to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, entered with a spare heal more, just like Slamu did. Should be pretty good. Doesn't have 17, obviously, but if you can just arrive there with that spare heal more, you feel pretty good.
Bob didn't get burned on that 49.
There was nowhere here where there was any like opening for variance and routing, right? Did anybody do Grave Deep early or?
So it took different in terms of routing. Not really, because you kind of had to go everywhere. Everybody went to Canlin, even though it was useless, because that makes sense. Nobody did Grave early, but there was a lot of variance in how you approached it. So at one point, Slamu, you had like a ridiculous experience lead, but you were the last to you're the last to armor, maybe, or last to keys.
Sword.
No, Bob was the last to sword.
All right, Bob was the last.
Because Bob explored the entire continent or entire map until he actually got the armor before the sword. He's just like, this wizard is nonsense. I'm gonna go find keys.
Speaking of, Bob has now finished with a time of 56:57 for third place. Honestly, if I'm Bob, I'm just glad the Armored Knights can't hurt me anymore. But certainly was hoping probably for more points than that. Still in contention though, so get your GGs out in chat.
Yeah, the thing that I did, so after I got burnt to a crisp by multiple DL2 enemies, I think that my decision making got a little bit worse. That's why I tried to go to Cantlin, because I was just hoping that it was Rim down there and that nobody else was going to go down there, because I felt like I needed something to counteract getting knocked back on the map like 4 times, and it didn't work out. So that's
Yeah,
life.
and I think it's generally a pretty good strategy. If like things aren't going well for you, try and make your own luck. I think that makes a lot of sense. That being said, things weren't going as bad for you as you might have thought. You're actually doing quite well for most of the race. You weren't the only one getting burnt to a crisp. And with that, we have our 3rd place finisher, Bob Pineapple. Welcome and congratulations.
I mean, I guess.
Speaking of being burned to a crisp, here's Bob.
right.
I mean, look, if the RNG decides you're not gonna win, you're not gonna win. You know, I felt great about this seed until Cantlin. That was a mistake. I should not have walked to Cantlin, and then I forgot to go back and check Grave until I had already done Cantlin, and so I knew right there I wasn't getting first because this was Jet Seed. So I was like, okay, well, second is still a possibility. And I entered with clear go stats, and if Sharlock decides no, there's nothing you can do about it, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, I would say the largest point of variance in the seed was the Sharlock at the end. And so, actually, Hoodie and Bob Pineapple were very, like, at a certain point, I think you were both in Hawk's Nest grinding within, I'll say, 500 experience of each other. And it just was a kind of variance like, yeah, Bob, your Sharlock was way, way, way worse. And it's not like Hoodie did, was free or whatever, but just like scraped by kind of thing. But you got, that the Armored Knights, the Red Dragons, not a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I knew going into my first DL2 fight of 3 that having to have burned 2 Healmores during Sharlock. Burning 2 Healmores when it's short Sharlock is gross on its face, but knowing that I was going to have to manufacture some kind of doubles, and it just never happened because he just wouldn't stop throwing breath.
Right.
And it's just like, I mean, what can you do at that point? It's just the RNG decided I needed to run into AK-47s every 5 steps, get slept by them a lot, get sleep locked, not be able to run. It was just a whole thing. I mean, this gives me all I really wanted out of this was a chance. I knew I was going to have to win one of my next 2 outright. Hopefully 15 is going to be good enough for a play-in this year. We'll see as the rest of the week kind of goes out. But I will say, it's tough to take when you lose position to RNG versus a legitimate mistake. I made 2 legitimate mistakes this seed, and then just RNG decided to rub it in my face, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, you had a really interesting strategy compared to the other runners. Like you were obviously last to the sword by a lot. All the other runners found it or defeated the wizard pretty quickly. But in exchange, you were way ahead on running around the map. So you were probably down a bunch, down the sword, down a bunch of experience, but you had all your items way before everyone. And I thought that was a really interesting thing. And it actually converged where so you and Hoodie were actually really, really close despite wildly different strategies. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I felt really good when I managed to take down the Axe Knight and Hawksness when I really had no business being able to do that at the level I was at.
Yeah. That was an awesome fight. You needed to crit, I think.
Yeah, needed it, got it, and I felt really good at the seed at that point. I would say for the first 30 minutes of this one, I felt very in control, and then the Cantlin error was rough, but I figured I could recover from that. But then, what are you going to do? Sharlock going to Sharlock.
Yeah.
I will say GG's, of course, to Big Slamu and HoodyTwoShoes. I'll be interested to watch this one back if I deviated that much from everyone else.
Oh yeah, you definitely deviated quite a bit. Like you were way down in experience. Yeah, like I said, you had a lot going for you. But with that, cparsley finishes up the Dragon Lord. Also went through a significant amount of failed dives. I'm not sure. It was at least 2, if not 3. But yeah, cparsley finally defeats the Dragon Lord, gets his revenge on all the Armor Knights, and finishes out the race.
If it makes you feel better, Bob, Slimu and I also had to use 2 heal mores in Charlock, and I went down to Cantlin on an adventure and got DL2'd by a wyvern like right as I got there. So that was.
I mean, in one sense, yes, that you both had to use 2 heal mores, but that my rolls were bad enough that I couldn't also pull out the victory. There's another side to that coin.
You don't want to know how much you missed by on the Dragon Lord, that's for sure.
Oh boy. I mean, are we talking like 1 or 2?
Yeah, we're talking one
correct,
of those 2
correct.
numbers.
Yeah, correct. That is correct.
You know, that's what we call the old pineapple special right there.
Yeah, that was particularly brutal. And with that, we have cparsley with us. Yeah, tough seed for you. Lot of bad Charlock. You want to give us your kind of thoughts on the race?
A lot of bad Charlock, a lot of bad routing, and a lot of misclicks on the menu. And say I got to Catlin very, very early, way before keys. And at that point, then it was like, oh, of course, because I made that trip all the way down to Catlin. And then I'm like, wait, it's actually Catlin. Damn it.
Yeah, all 4 runners
I
went
got there like at level 4 or 5.
Yeah, all 4 runners ended up going to Cantlin, so nobody was able to skip it, despite it, being technically skippable. But none of the 4 of you.
So I have to
skip.
ask, because I never went back, what was underneath the coordinates?
There weren't any coordinates.
No coordinates.
Oh, thank God. I thought I was missing something the whole time. I'm like, do I really want to make the trip all the way back out?
I think that there was a good portion of time I was repelling, and I ended up repelling like up to Wraith Knights at least, and I feel like that was also something that maybe wasn't the best, because I could have been fighting stuff instead of just wandering around and not fighting.
I don't know. This map is so big that I don't want to take a single encounter when I'm walking. I just want to get the walking done, which is why I took. I mean, I was 15 before I left Hawksness for the first time.
Yeah, you did a ton, and that's what you got. When you said you had like just a massive experience lead, because you just sat there and you weren't going anywhere. You were level 15, and like you didn't get very many encounters the rest of the way, because you just had repel on nonstop.
Yeah, it was just the Demon Knights and then an occasional Star Wyvern, but that was it, right? I mean, I'm not gonna see hardly anything. You're not gonna see any of the real rough stuff until you hit Charlock with this vanilla zones turned on. So it worked out. I mean, I hate getting sent back in these flags.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure,
it's 5 minutes, and there's not 5 minutes of play in these seeds. So I'm gonna sit and take everything the game's gonna give me level wise, and then I'll start venturing. And when I died to the wizard, my one real death, even that felt bad. I'm like, oh geez, that's a minute and a half to walk back up there. In reality, that wasn't the most punishing thing. And then being able to stop spell that guy and take him down after 6 or 7 or 8 heal casts felt real good too.
Yeah. So, with that, any final thoughts of the seed? And we're about to wrap things up here. We're gonna head over to DW Randomizer for more Winter League action.
Yeah, I think one of my major issues is I thought everything was on vanilla. So as soon as I saw that spike there in coal, didn't go back the longest time, because I figured, okay, it's just the fairy flute, I can pick that up later. Wasn't until I had started to see other things different, I'm like, oh crap, there could be something good underneath there.
Yep, just want to say
of course, it
GG's
ended
to
up
all
being
of
a
you.
sword, and GG.
Had a fun race. Good luck in chaos next week. Rooting for all of you guys. Had a lot of fun.
Especially me, because I can play spoiler for you guys.
All right. With that, thanks for watching, and let's head over to DW Randomizer. Have a good night, everyone.